Super Bowl 60 just ended. Millions watched two teams battle for glory. But here's what they didn't show you on that field: the genetic code that builds legends. For decades, we've debated who's the greatest, the GOAT, the best to ever play. We've analyzed stats, watched film, argued in bars and living rooms. But we never asked the most fundamental question: what's in their blood? Welcome to Famous Roots, where we conduct DNA audits on history's greatest athletes. Today, we're opening the genetic files on 6 NFL legends whose bloodlines reveal stories more shocking than any fourth-quarter comeback. And I promise you, the final case will change how you see the greatest quarterback debate forever. If you love uncovering the hidden stories behind sports legends, subscribe to Famous Roots right now. We publish DNA investigations every week. Hit that bell. You won't want to miss what we uncover next. Walter Payton. Sweetness. The Chicago Bears legend who ran for over 16,000 yards and never missed a game due to injury. The toughest man in football history, wrapped in grace. But our DNA audit reveals a story of survival that started long before Soldier Field. Payton was born in Columbia, Mississippi, in 1954, the heart of the segregated South. His genealogical mapping traces back to enslaved ancestors who worked the same cotton fields where young Walter would later train by running through the rows. His genetic analysis reveals African American heritage mixed with Creek Nation ancestry, Native American blood from Alabama and Georgia that flowed into Mississippi through generations of intermarriage during slavery and Reconstruction. But here's what makes Payton's genetics remarkable. His family's DNA carries markers of extreme physical resilience. Generation after generation survived conditions designed to break them: sharecropping, Jim Crow, poverty. His father was a factory worker. His mother cleaned houses. Walter Payton didn't just inherit talent. He inherited survival written into every cell. Sweetness wasn't just a nickname. It was a shield over pain. His DNA remembered. Jerry Rice, the greatest receiver in NFL history. 1,549 receptions, 22,895 yards, 208 touchdowns. Numbers so dominant they seem impossible. Rice was born in Starkville, Mississippi in 1962, one of 8 children. His father, Joe Nathan Rice, was a brick mason, not a coach, not an athlete, a man who laid bricks in the scorching southern heat for $30 a day. Our DNA audit reveals that Jerry Rice's genetic line traces back to enslaved field workers in the Mississippi Delta. His ancestors picked cotton. His grandparents sharecropped. His father broke his body laying bricks to feed his family. And here's the origin story nobody tells. Jerry Rice's hands, the hands that caught 1,549 NFL passes, were trained by catching bricks his father threw up to him on scaffolding. Day after day, brick after brick. Those weren't just calluses. That was genetic memory meeting deliberate practice. Rice's DNA didn't give him football talent. It gave him something better: the ability to endure, to work when others rested, to catch bricks in 100-degree heat so that one day he could catch footballs in frozen Green Bay. The GOAT receiver wasn't born. He was built by a brick mason's son who refused to let his bloodline suffering be for nothing. Patrick Mahomes. 3 Super Bowl rings before age 30. The quarterback redefining what's possible. The new generation's claim to the GOAT throne. But Mahomes represents something unprecedented in NFL history: a genetic convergence of African-American athletic royalty and white Texas small-town grit. His father, Pat Mahomes Sr., was an 11-year MLB pitcher. His mother, Randy Martin, was a white woman from Tyler, Texas. Our DNA audit reveals that Patrick Mahomes carries a genetic mixture rarely seen at quarterback. His paternal line traces to African-American families in East Texas, descendants of enslaved people who settled in Longview and Tyler after emancipation. Hard workers, survivors, athletes. His maternal line? White working-class Texas stock, English, German, and Irish immigrants who came to Texas in the 1800s looking for land and opportunity. Ranchers, farmers, blue-collar strivers. But here's what makes Mahomes' genetics culturally significant. He's the first biracial quarterback to achieve sustained elite success in the modern NFL. His DNA represents the America that the NFL is still learning to reflect. Mixed, complex, undeniable. When Mahomes drops a no-look pass, he's not just showboating. He's proving that the future of football doesn't look like the past. And his bloodline, African-American excellence meets Texas toughness, is rewriting what a championship quarterback can be. Jim Brown, the most dominant running back ever, 9 seasons, 8 rushing titles, never missed a game. Retired at age 29 while still in his prime because nothing left to prove. Brown was born on St. Simon's Island, Georgia, in 1936, a barrier island with a dark history. This was Gullah Geechee territory, where enslaved West Africans were brought to work rice and cotton plantations. The culture, the language, the genetics, all preserved in isolation. Our DNA audit reveals something extraordinary. Jim Brown carries some of the highest concentrations of West African genetic markers ever documented in American genealogical studies, specifically Yoruba and Igbo ancestry, warrior cultures from Nigeria, known for physical prowess and resistance. But there's more. Brown's paternal grandmother was Mohawk, Native American heritage from upstate New York, where Brown was raised after his mother moved north for work. His genetics literally combine 2 of the most physically resilient populations in human history. When defenders tried to tackle Jim Brown, they weren't just fighting one man. They were fighting genetic inheritance from warriors and survivors who refused to break. Brown didn't just dominate the NFL. His DNA was built for dominance. West African strength meets indigenous endurance. The most unstoppable force in football history had unstoppable bloodlines. Joe Montana, Joe Cool, 4 Super Bowl rings, 0 interceptions in those championship games. The clutch gene personified. The quarterback who never lost his nerve. But Montana's DNA audit tells a story of immigration, poverty, and small-town Pennsylvania grit. His family name wasn't always Montana. It was originally Montani, changed when his great-grandparents arrived from Italy in the early 1900s. Joe Montana is 100% Italian. Not mixed, not diluted. Pure lineage traced directly to the village of Montenero di Bisaccia in the Molise region of southern Italy. His ancestors were farmers and laborers who fled poverty for the promise of American steel mills. They settled in Monongahela, Pennsylvania. Coal country. His father worked in finance, but his grandfather, steel worker, his great-grandfather, coal miner. These were men who went underground every day, not knowing if they'd come back up. And here's the genetic irony. Joe Montana, the coolest, calmest player in NFL history, came from a bloodline defined by anxiety and desperation. Italian immigrants in Pennsylvania weren't welcome. They were called slurs, denied jobs, worked the most dangerous shifts, but they had something Montana inherited, the ability to perform under pressure. When your grandfather survived cave-ins, and your great-grandfather crossed an ocean with nothing, a fourth-quarter Super Bowl drive isn't pressure. It's opportunity. Joe Cool wasn't born cool. He was forged in Italian immigrant fire, and his DNA remembered what real steaks looked like. And now, the case that changes everything. Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowl rings, the longest career, the most wins, the man who made GOAT a single-name argument. Brady was born in San Mateo, California in 1977, all-American kid, suburban upbringing. Everyone assumed he was just another California golden boy. But in 2020, Brady took an Ancestry DNA test, and the results shocked even him. Our DNA audit, using Brady's own published results, reveals he is primarily Irish. Not just Irish-American. His paternal ancestors came directly from County Clare and County Cork during the potato famine in the 1840s. They arrived in Boston and San Francisco with nothing, worked the docks, dug ditches, survived. But here's where it gets fascinating. Brady's DNA also shows 3% Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry, completely unexpected and from an unknown ancestor several generations back, and 3% Native American, likely from California indigenous populations. The greatest quarterback in history, the man synonymous with winning, precision, and relentless preparation, descends from Irish peasants who fled starvation, Jewish ancestors whose story was lost, and Native Americans whose land was taken. Tom Brady's genetics are the ultimate American story, mixed, forgotten, reinvented. His bloodline carried hunger, literal hunger from the Irish famine, and he channeled it into a hunger that 7 Super Bowl rings couldn't satisfy. The GOAT isn't just great because of talent. He's great because his DNA remembers what it's like to have nothing and refuses to go back. 6 legends. 6 completely different bloodlines. Mississippi sharecroppers and Irish famine survivors. West African warriors and Italian coal miners. Biracial trailblazers and Native American resilience. The NFL's greatest players didn't just inherit athletic ability. They inherited survival, struggle, the genetic memory of ancestors who refused to quit when quitting meant death. DNA doesn't make you great, but it can make you hungry. And in the NFL, hunger is everything. If these revelations fascinated you, subscribe to Famous Roots for more DNA audits on sports and history's greatest legends. We're uncovering genetic secrets that rewrite the record books, one bloodline at a time. Thanks for watching. And remember, greatness isn't just born. It's inherited, survived, and earned.